Hello, everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation, and my guest today is Dr. Andrew Cort. He is an author and the healing arts practitioner in Woodstock, New York, with a passion for helping people transform their lives and achieve profound healing on all levels. He's the author of several inspiring books, including his latest volume, Create Yourself Anew from Above Down, by choosing who and what you prefer to be in this multiverse of all possibilities. So, this is my brief introduction to you. There's a lot more to Andrew, so the full bio will be at the end and also on the podcast notes. But the question that I love asking everyone, and I always say it that way too, how would you? This is my introduction to you, and that's what people know about you. But how would you introduce yourself? Who is Andrew in this very moment?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Oh,
that
yes.
that's kind of the question of
That.
the book I wrote. Who am I?
Hmm.
Who and what are we really?
Hmm.
But I understand that the meaning of your question in this day to day world
Yeah.
is what kinds of things am I into? What have I done? What am I doing?
Right.
Um, I I'm 74. I've had a long life and a very eclectic life, full of a lot of incredibly good fortune and a lot of hardships.
Yeah.
But I have been a math and science teacher. I've been an attorney.
Wow.
I'm ordained as an interfaith minister. I've been an amateur actor. My favorite job is being a dad. My
Yeah.
first job was I went to chiropractic school and graduated in 78 and spent 10 years in the East Village in New York City practicing chiropractic and applied kinesiology and acupressure and nutrition and working with other people. Um, I did that for 10 years and then I went on to other things in my life. And maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I went back into the healing arts.
Yeah.
And I don't really practice chiropractic per se anymore, but I work with energy balancing and cranial balancing, and I work with the uh, inner work with people with guided visualizations and a kind of trance work to
Yeah.
help uncover limiting beliefs that are getting in their way and find ways to dissolve them and turn
Mm,
their attention instead toward what they want and toward happiness and health and joy
mm,
and abundance. So that's how I spend my days, as well as writing. I've written a lot of books over the years. This summer, I put together the one you mentioned that I
mm.
guess we'll talk about.
Yeah.
And so I'm a writer, and I have an online course that I hope will be completed by the fall that I'm working on. So I keep pretty busy.
Yes, I see that. And that's part of being creative, right? Being life itself. That's what it
Yeah.
does. When we just when we realize that, wait a minute, I am life, and then I flow with it, as life itself. So, I have a question for you about the connection between health, healing, and spirituality. And truth, really, when I speak of spirituality, it's really not even who but what we are. So what is the connection between those three things?
Well, I think of spiritual growth as a form of healing, and healing the totality of oneself.
Yeah.
And my healing work is actually not purely physically oriented. I also work with the emotions and the psychology and the spirituality of my patients. And I'm working on transformation.
Right.
Um, I think most people, including myself, the three big things they want from manifestation work is more abundance, more love, and more health,
Mm.
which are all connected. They're
Yes.
all one piece of being human and realizing who and what we really are.
Mm. Yes, in a way, I absolutely agree. I think the moment I became, per se, more spiritual, more kind of paying more attention to the subtlety of what I am, then my body kind of automatically became healthier. So I don't get sick for the last 20 years. I don't remember getting sick. So, but I do have, pains here and there. So, and in the end, we know we'll lose the body, right? It won't stay here for too long. So, is that possible to actually be in this state of deep peace and love and still have underlying health issues? Is that something that you feel that's also possible?
Yes, let me just back it up with a quick sentence or two. That um, what I've come to realize is that we are part of the divine whole, and everything is consciousness.
Yes. Yes.
This individual part of that, which is a hologram of that I call me and my soul and my energy field,
Yeah.
is having a dream of a physical existence in a physical time space world.
Right.
We're meant to do that. That's why this was all created.
Mm,
That we are the eyes and ears, and we're experiencing. This is kind of from Neil Donald Walsh. We're experiencing on behalf of the totality of God and divinity,
mm,
who
yeah.
is conscious awareness but can't experience that.
Mm,
And we are his children experiencing that. She is experiencing it through us. So we're
mm,
supposed to be having this illusion, if you will.
yeah.
It's a wonderful thing. And one of the things my book is about is we can change that dream because we have the power to do that.
Yes.
But just recently, actually, I was meditating, and like you, I was itchy here, or I felt a little
Mm,
pain there,
yeah.
and I started as usual going on with myself about why am I still in this body when I'm trying to be out of it, and I
Mm,
remembered I'm both.
mm, yeah.
I'm both that
Yeah.
perfect awareness and a
Yeah.
physical body, and they coexist, and it's all okay.
Mm, yes. Beautifully said. So there's no really conflict. It's very clear, yeah, for those who know that truth, right? It's only pure consciousness exists. And I have heard about, things like conditioned consciousness. So when we tend to believe that there's a person here, there's a me here, that's conditioned. So the body mind are very much conditioned in so many ways, right? That's so clear to me too. So how do we, I mean, this is like, I want to get into your book already, but I want to ask you this question. So how do we go from conditioned consciousness to this pure consciousness? Is that something that we really have access to it, or it's already integrated in a way we are just kind of creating another form of illusion by trying to separate using words and concepts? I'm wondering.
Well, what comes up for me right now as we're having this bit of the discussion is that we are everything, and we're not here to learn anything we don't know in our
Mm,
highest self. We're
mm,
here to experience this physical reality. And
mm,
unlike many religious traditional teachings, we're here to enjoy and appreciate and adore this
mm.
experience.
Thank you. Yeah.
And we're here to remember
Mm,
who and what we are.
mm, yeah.
We already know, but we've forgotten. And that's okay. We were supposed to forget so we could have this experience. But
Mm,
now the trip home is to remember.
yeah. Oh my God. What's not to love about truth? It kind of, yeah, it's just intoxicating. It's just freeing. It's everything at the same time. It's beautiful, yeah, to listen to you. To listen to you, meaning truth, you, one and the same through words. Thank you. So, in your book, I have to ask you this question too. Oh, I want to put the book here. It's so beautiful. I love the cover. There's something about the is that the bird? Is that a phoenix? And
Is
then
it a phoenix?
yeah, and then you have the fire. I mean, it's just such a beautiful cover. So in your book, you say about 7 years ago, my spiritual life took a profound turn. I would love to hear about that story.
Well, when I was young, I was always kind of interested in religion and spirituality, even as a teenager, more or less over the years, depending what was going on in my life.
Yeah.
But originally, my spiritual outlook was that life is a kind of battle between good and evil, and I'm supposed to be on the side of good, and I'm supposed to be good and make the world a better place and take care of people and take care of things so that the world is a better place, and that's what God, I thought, wanted us to do.
Right.
Now, I still think that's part of my spiritual journey.
Yeah.
But I moved on from that at some time as a young adult to thinking that actually I started thinking the purpose of life in Socrates and Plato's terms is to perfect the soul,
Mm.
to perfect oneself and become, I'll use it as shorthand, to become a Buddha,
Yeah.
to reach enlightenment and to reach that state of uh, perfection and high being.
Right.
And that in doing that, we're fulfilling our purpose and we're taking that journey from this material consciousness back to a
Mm.
consciousness of being in communion with the divine and being spiritually awakened. And that journey is the purpose that we're here for. And most of my books actually are about the Western mythological stories about that journey, which take the journey symbolically. The most simple place is to see in the Hebrew Bible the journey from slavery in Egypt
Mm.
to freedom in the Promised Land is symbolic, step by step, of the inner journey of the soul from
Right.
slavery to this material consciousness to
Right.
awakening and returning to divinity with God.
Right. Beautiful.
And that journey takes work and
Mm.
effort.
Yes.
And about 7 years ago, I started thinking another way, which
Mm.
I kind of mentioned already at the beginning, that maybe our purpose in being here is to experience
Mm.
this magnificent experience
Right.
and to feel gratitude for it and love for it and enjoy it
Yeah.
and to just have a great time. There's this wonderful old story that I love. Uh, I think it might have come from Spinoza, but I'm not sure. But it's this story that when you die and you meet your maker, God isn't going to sit on a high throne judging you and telling you what you did wrong. He's going to sit on a bench beside you and ask you, so what was the most fun? What
Mm.
did you enjoy the most?
Right. Oh,
And I think
beautiful.
that's a marvelous image.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I kind of consider all three of those things as being a
Yeah.
part of my reality, and I think they're all important. But I've been focused more these 7 years on this latter approach to my life and to just really enjoying it and making the most of the time I have.
Mm.
It's really quite marvelous.
Yes, right, Andrew. How beautiful to listen to that over and over again. It's a reminder. And I'm wondering what does it mean, like being reminded of that. And that's the mind, isn't it? Something in the mind that has created the illusion or the idea of the belief system that we are here to, I don't know, to get somewhere, that there's a destination, a purpose, a goal. So in a way, we keep unenlightening ourselves every day by
Yes.
worrying, fear, and all those things, aren't we?
Yeah.
Um, and I know you are doing a beautiful job, with your contribution to healing, so people can see that they can awaken that parts in them that it's okay to let go. Easier said than done. It has been my work for a while now, and I see how many parts it holds on to specific things, especially conclusions in the past from trauma. It's fascinating to see it. And I see it with a lot of humility because I gain compassion, of course, for those parts in me. And I can't really. And then, I tried to kind of get rid of them, numb them, escape them, run from them. I tried everything. It didn't work. So they're still here. So how do you, in a practical way, how do you teach that to somebody? To let go, what is the technique that you use? I would love to know. I'm curious.
Well, it's interesting in the book we're talking about. The initial chapter is about changing your mindset,
Yeah.
and then the next step is dissolving those limiting
Mm,
beliefs and negative thoughts that get in your
yes.
way.
Yes.
In my practice, I spend some time working with my patients energetically and relaxing them and working with any aches and pains they have. And then we do that. We we
Yeah.
we get into what's going on with them. Now the way that I do that is getting people into a deep theta trance-like state, theta wave
Yeah.
trance-like state.
Yeah.
Um, that's theta wave state is the hypnotic state where your higher self is listening and able to talk to you, and you're quiet enough to hear it,
Right.
and new and better ideas can be put in.
Right.
So I get people into
Mm.
that state, and then I have them ask their higher self some questions. And the basic questions are two, really, but there'll be a few more as we have this conversation while they're in this state. But the two basic questions are, what am I believing about myself or the world
Yeah.
that's holding me in this place that I don't want?
Mm. Yeah.
And after we go through that, the other basic question is, what am I afraid of? What would happen
Mm.
if I became who and what I want to be?
Right.
And you get this guidance from yourself, not from me.
Yeah.
You get answers from yourself when you're in this state. Your higher inner guide or God or soul, whatever you wish to call it, will just answer.
Yeah.
And if you're in a state where you can hear it, now you've got some real stuff you can do. But one other thing I want to say about what you said about it's all still there, even though you're working on it, is yes, it's all still there.
Yeah.
Everything is still there.
Mm.
Nothing in this universe disappears.
Right.
It's all there. We have all these choices of what to experience in this multiverse, but in this one, those things still exist.
Yeah.
In this reality that you're experiencing now, because nothing disappears from reality.
Mm.
But what you can do
Mm.
is dissolve your attachment
Right.
to those negative, limiting thoughts and beliefs,
Right.
and turn your focus to reattaching to what your higher guide is now telling you to start believing and to start doing, because it's who you really are, and
Right.
it's what you really deserve, and it's what you
Right.
really want, and you
Mm.
can have it.
Right. That's really clear to me. So it's not really getting rid of anything, trying to make it disappear, but rather kind of creating. So you did talk. You talk about that in a beautiful way. I think you have on your website. It says, let me see, something about transforming. Yeah, you say don't just wait for healing and transformation. Create it. So it's all about so this reality, basically, you're saying too. So it's about creation, because we are created in the image of God, and everything is God anyway. So it's essentially a very creative force. So creating. Um, I love that though, and that's what I've been doing for pretty much for a while now. But how do we? I think the main thing is just kind of removing that, not removing perhaps, so maybe creating more understanding or clarity around the belief system, the judgment when it comes up, when the memory comes up from the past, and then I feel like my body wants to engage with, and then sometimes it does automatically, and then of course I have a lot of discernment because I've been doing so much spiritual work and meditation, all those things. But what do we do when we to the judgment of the appearance of that condition? That's my question to you.
Well, let me broaden it to, what do we do with all the things that come up in our minds that
Mm.
we wish wouldn't?
Yes. Yes, that's
We wish
perfect.
this just wasn't here.
Yes.
Um, I actually learned this a long, long time ago when I was living in New York City, and I was in a Gurdjieff study group.
Mm.
And one of the things that Gurdjieff's work taught me was, you can't change these things. Only grace can change these things
Mm.
or take them away. You can't do that. But what you can do, the only thing you can do, and precisely what you should do,
Yeah.
is with as little judgment as possible, observe yourself and observe these things.
Right.
Just see them. Try
Right.
not to judge them, try not to get carried away by them, just look at them.
Right.
Because when you bring them up into consciousness,
Mm.
consciousness is light, and negative things don't like the light.
No. Yeah.
So you don't try to fix it, you don't try to change it. That's beyond you. Just observe it, be aware of it, accept it, bring it up into the light, and let grace take it away.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. 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 So it sounds very, thank you for saying that, Andrew. So it sounds, might sound abstract for some people, but it's very clear to me, very practical, right? And I have been doing this for years too, the observation. But I think one of the things that I added is that instead of becoming creating a movement, because a lot of times when these energies they come up, I just dance, I move, I do something with the body. But then now I'm practicing being to be still, so I just sit down and I look at it, and I ask questions. Are you true? What is true about you, and why are you true? Are you real? And then it tends to dissipate, it disappears, and then the body feels again
Mhm.
relaxed, and goes back to its normal natural state. But it's still a practice, and I love the way you talked about grace. So it's something that it's not a, we can't control we, but when I speak of we, I don't even know, there's nobody here anyway in that sense of fixed entity. So when you speak of that, it feels like we are talking about two different things: pure consciousness, and then is that conditioned consciousness that seem to be two? Is that what it? It's just a seemed, right? Because it's apparent, because it's not really true. Two, it's one.
I'm not sure I'm clear on what you're saying.
Yeah, so this dance between when we even when we have thoughts, it feels like we are talking to somebody or something. There are two
Mhm.
of us here. One is talking, the other one's listening. Like even now, this conversation, I'm talking to myself, you talk to yourself. There's just one of us happening here. But what's happening there when this has happened? The thinking, and then this, this dance with the emotions and the past and then the future, and when they come into the present and then interact with something that's right here within body mind, is that well, from my understanding, it's just the illusion again of many parts of the multiplicity, which is not really there. So it's part of that experience that you spoke of, that the human experience is just a way of having fun, of consciousness having fun. So is that, would that make sense in a way to just say that to those parts, I'm one with you, we are one and the same, there's no two here, because there's no, it's the truth, there's no two.
I see. Yes, I mean when you take the road you're talking about, you realize that everything is one.
Yeah.
All your thoughts and
Yeah.
emotions, all your physical aches and pains, everything in the room, all the other people, it's all one.
Yeah.
And when you're focusing on the physical sensations you're having, when you're
Yeah.
experiencing negativity in some form, it's all part and parcel of that oneness.
Yes.
I try to remember to accept it as part of this experience. Remember that this experience is one of infinite experiences that exist in the multiverse.
Right.
Right now, I'm having this one. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Mm,
It just is what it is.
mm,
I can accept it. I can even thank it for any lessons I've learned from it.
yeah.
I can appreciate what it's done. And if I choose to, I'm learning how to say goodbye to it and say, thank you. But this
Mm,
is not what I
mm,
choose to experience anymore.
right.
That choice comes from a place of real power.
Right.
That's what the mind shift in my book is about, getting to that place of real
Mm,
power to make choices,
yeah.
not to fix things
Yes.
down at this level of day-to-day life, because then you
Right.
just spin your wheels because you can't really change anything.
Right. 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 I love that too. Okay. So It's going back to remembering, isn't it? Because you mentioned beautifully, it's not about knowledge, even, because there's nothing that we don't know here. We already know truth. Truth is what we are, but it's remembering it that makes a difference. When it comes to choice, I had a hard time kind of understanding that the idea, the concept of choosing, because once I realized that everything was life, there's just God, only life exists, everything's divine, sacred, then it's who is choosing, where is choice coming from? I know it feels like unintelligent even to think, to believe that we don't choose anything because it feels so real. So talk to me for a moment about that.
Where to begin this multifaceted conversation? There's just a few
Yes.
pieces to it.
Yeah.
The first sentence of my book is, "You are God,"
Mm, yeah.
and then, if my memory is clear, I think the second sentence, if I'm just saying it right, is, "Now don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you are the God or the only God. You're not some towering entity who lives in the sky and demands to be worshipped
Right.
and under pain of hellfire. That's not what God is.
Right.
God is everything.
Mm,
Every
yeah.
plant, every animal, every molecule, every cell, every planet, every galaxy, every universe, every thought, every emotion, even evil and sadness and worry and anxiety.
Yeah.
God is all, God is everything.
Yeah.
And you are made of God because there's nothing else to be made of. So
Yes.
you are God.
Right.
And as God, you have the power that God has
Mm,
to choose, to create. And you create from that powerful position of knowing that you are divine and sacred and perfect and you are the creator.
mm,
Now, another point of it is when you're creating, you don't. The, the thing about manifestation that I think is mistaken, that many people seem to hold on to this idea of manifesting things, is you don't create something that's not existing before. You don't
right.
create something new that wasn't ever there before. Manifesting is changing your vibration to resonate with the life you want, and then that gets attracted to you. But it
Yeah.
was already there.
Yeah.
It's just that you changed and you're no longer attracting the circumstances of your life that are messing you up and that you're always trying to fix. You change yourself. You remember who and what you really are. You change yourself to line up with that sacred being that you really are. And then you start vibrating a whole new vibration and attract all the different things that you haven't been attracting before. They exist,
Right.
but you haven't attracted them before, and
Mm,
now you can. And that's what manifesting really is. That's what self creation really is.
yeah.
So you can talk about all the different timelines or all the different dimensions, or you can use the term multiverse, but all this creation exists. And all these things are there for you to connect with if you can. And what you connect with through your vibration. We'll talk about vibration next, but just briefly, there's a channel you probably have heard of. His name is Daryl Anka, and he channels a celestial figure he calls Bashar. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really happening, and I don't care. The teachings and what he says are marvelous.
Right.
He talks about this wonderful analogy of a multiverse. He says it's like a TV. You're sitting in your living room, and you're tuned to the frequency of channel 4, and that's what you're watching on the TV. Channel 5 is running a show. Channel 6 is running a show.
Yeah.
Hundreds of these cable networks are running shows. They're all running right here and now,
Yeah.
but you can't experience them because you're on this telefrequency. If you
Yes.
can change that frequency,
Mm,
in the metaphor, you turn the channel, but
yeah.
changing the frequency of yourself, you experience a different channel, a
Right.
different experience. But they
Right.
were always there. Just because you weren't experiencing it doesn't mean it wasn't there. Just because you're not experiencing abundance doesn't mean that there are universes in which versions of you are experiencing abundance here and now, always eternally. It all exists. You have to change yourself to be on that frequency. Because in this time space reality we've created, everything is vibration,
Yeah.
and vibrations resonate and they attract like vibrations and they repel different vibrations. And it's all intermoving and interweaving, but it's all one mass dream
Huh.
dance of vibration that we're living in. And
Yeah.
it's always changing within its changeless totality. And
Mm.
within it, we can shift around and experience different things. And the main thing that
Mm.
creates your vibration
Yeah.
is what you believe.
Mm.
You will always get what you believe you will get, because
Right.
that creates the vibration you're giving off. If you believe this is a magnificent, wonderful world full of good things, you'll have a life full of good things. And if you believe this is a terrible world and all kinds of horrible things are going to happen to me, they will.
Yeah.
Because your belief creates your vibration attracts your life, and you can choose from infinite lives, but you can only do that if you choose from a place of power.
Right.
And that's not little me, unhappy that I lost my job.
Yeah.
That's my inner divine highest self that's in union with God.
Yeah.
From there, like God, I'm a creator.
Mm. Yes. Wow. Beautifully said. Yes. Yes. I love the example of the channel. That's so true.
Mm.
Right. And the only thing for me, the belief system, believes. I wonder if it's possible to navigate this reality without a belief system. Can we use instead use truth, what's happening now? Because I tend to really love the present moment, be here now, and whatever's happening here, it's what I have to work with. This is what's happening. This is life happening. So it doesn't require a belief system to be here in the
Well,
now.
it doesn't
So,
require a belief system. I think what you're I think one way of looking at what you're saying is believing that the here and now is perfect and wonderful.
mm, yeah,
It's not a belief system. It's not like Christianity or
right,
Judaism or Hinduism. Or,
right.
it's not a right or
Uh,
wrong thing.
uh, but it's still giving some description and quality to it. So in a sense, yeah, we cannot
Mm.
really, yeah, it's almost like not possible to try to describe this present moment, right? I'm happy, and then I'm sad. We kind of, and it changes, right, depending on the
Isn't
state
it
of mind and
wonderful?
body.
Isn't it
Yes,
wonderful
yes.
to have all that experience?
Right, right. Yeah, I call it the taste of life, different flavors, because you see that a lot of people, they reject a lot the emotions of sadness or anger or whatever it is. And then most people want to feel good. And then they just kind of go toward only these beautiful emotions, and then they reject the other ones. But to me, it feels like different flavors of life, like when I'm sad, I mean, it's just incredible. You're right. I mean, I love the way you're saying that. It's just amazing to feel them, to really, that's to me, that's being alive. That's being
Yeah.
what it means to be a human. It's just experiencing everything without pushing anything away. You just, I
Yeah.
mean, it changes everything in a sense. It does and doesn't. It's almost like we're already in that state that we are always in, which is the changeless. That we know. It's almost to fuse, Andrew, that when we are able to experience everything and meet life in that in that true sense, then it feels like almost like a kid that with this beautiful, benevolent, amazing parents that just let them experience, the forest, for example. Oh, go there and experience what that is. And then you feel so confident, that you can just go there and do whatever you want
Mhm.
because you can always go back home to your beautiful parents and they're always there open waiting for you. And you know your way home too. So there's something for me that comes that really resonates that way when I try to interpret all these things with using the mind. It's almost like this. journey that's not a journey. It's not a journey, really. It's like you said, it's an experience only, in a dream, perhaps an experience of a dream. But yeah, isn't it? Wouldn't be amazing if we all had this experience? And I guess it seems to me that that's what you are doing. So many people that I meet here, including myself, that we want other people to have this experience of totality, of feeling complete and whole and playful. Just be more playful with this, but it's not. It seems like it's another dream, isn't it, that we are trying to achieve here? The whole world dancing, being in the state of love together. Talk to me. I would love to hear from you a bit more about that too. Is that something that we are
Yeah.
trying to do?
Well,
Dreaming that
sure. I
dream
mean,
together?
we're having our individual dream,
Yeah,
and at the same time, the whole planet is having a collective consciousness dream
yeah,
and creating this whole social, political, economic, physical
mm,
reality.
yeah,
Um, I'm not personally responsible for a hurricane or a tornado or an
mm,
earthquake, but I think the collective consciousness of humanity on this planet presents a lot of negative vibrations into the environment, and these things happen.
yeah.
So in a sense we're all responsible, but no one's individually responsible.
Right,
But that
right.
doesn't mean we're not responsible. We can at least take our little part in it and try and set a good example,
Yes, yes.
as well as making our own life a wonderful dream instead of a nightmare.
Yeah.
We
Yes,
can do that.
yeah.
And I think one of the things that's important is, in my opinion, that because I can obviously prove this kind of thing in any standard scientific proof kind of thing,
Yeah.
but in my opinion, the divine, I'll use the word God, but again, I'm not talking about an entity out there, uh, wants us to experience everything. And God doesn't judge, oh, you're being mad, you're bad, that's terrible, you shouldn't do that. everything's everything's wonderful because God wants to experience everything. So that was kind of like what you were saying. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad, sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're miserable, sometimes you're on top of the world, and sometimes you're really upset. It's wonderful to experience all of that.
Yes.
And the more we experience, the more I think we're doing our job. We're here
Yes.
to experience. And we're
Yeah.
not just here to experience nice. We're here to experience everything and
Yeah.
to see it from all angles, and to
Yes.
then make the choice of what we wish to experience more of and what we wish to experience less of. But we
Yes.
accept it all. It's all really quite wonderful. And
Yes.
when we're experiencing it and we decide we want to experience something else, which is not because it's bad, it's just because we choose to experience something else.
Right.
And when we have our desires and the things that we want in life, I used to think from a Buddhist point of view that, at least I used to hear this, that our desires are what make suffering and desires are bad.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I think what happens is the things we desire, they come to be and eventually they disappear, and that makes us sad and suffer.
Mm,
But it's not the desire.
mm.
Every time we have a new desire, it's creation expanding.
Yes.
Whether it's I want world peace or I want a new Ferrari, whatever the desire is, it's opening up new experiential possibilities and enlarging the creation. And I think that's all what we're supposed to be doing.
Mm. Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. It's the attachment, right, to outcome that might make a big difference. I used to have, this understanding, or maybe even rejected the idea of manifestation and all the desires that we have because we were desiring things for ourselves only. That was the main, I mean, for me, that really, there's something that happens when I think about when I create something that's coming from love, the universal love, or the divine God, whatever we call it. There's a quality, it's very subtle, that it feels very much like something that will help, that will benefit this here, body, mind here, and then my family, and then my community, and then the world at large. There's something about that. It's very subtle, but it really speaks to me in that with that language, because and then I know it's that desire that I have, which I really call it a longing. Really, it's union again. It goes back to union. So I know I'm being guided by the subtle voice that says, do this because it will benefit others, not just you but others as well. So that feels true to me. I don't know to what part of the mind, and perhaps it is part of the egoic mind too, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels like it's coming from a very beautiful place of benevolence. Of, I don't know if that happens to you too, but I feel like it might.
Yes, and I think it's coming, in part at least, I think it's coming from a deep understanding of the oneness of
Hmm.
everyone and everything.
Yes.
If
Yeah.
I want a Ferrari and I put
Yeah.
all my energy into that, and I know what I'm doing and I'm doing it right and I understand all these things and I follow all the steps, I will eventually get a Ferrari. And
Mm.
pretty soon that'll be boring and I'll want something else.
Mm,
But there's
right.
nothing wrong with it.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
if I get a Ferrari
Yeah.
by stealing it and hurting someone
Mm.
else,
Yeah.
the understanding the oneness of things is remembering that I'm
Yeah.
hurting me.
Right.
That what I have is we all have. There's
Right.
no sense by being jealous of someone else because it's all part of this oneness that I'm part of too.
Yeah.
And anything that I do to harm anyone or anything, I'm doing to myself.
Right.
And I'm creating a vibration that will mirror that and it will come
Right.
back. It
Right.
will happen to me. So
Right.
you want to uh, not say no to your desires, but be aware of, well, now, why do I want this? And how will this help me? And how will it help the world? And how will it not hurt the world?
Right. At least, yeah.
May everything come to me under grace and in perfect ways for the benefit of everyone.
Yeah. Beautiful.
That's
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
Francis Scoville Shin talked about that.
Yes. 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 I have heard about that. The way to know, it's very simple, although it's not that simple. That voice, that's coming from, let's say, from your true nature, or it's coming from egotism, which has to do with the separate self, knowing that, not understanding that we are part of the whole, is that one will lead to suffering inevitably, and the other one will not. Doesn't mean that you will achieve whatever you want. You have this vision and this desire that it's benevolent and it will help everyone. It doesn't mean that you get there in one shot even, but one door is just a way of getting there. It's almost like by step you say yes to this next step, and then a door will open. Then that has been my life basically. Like I kept listening to my intuition and just saying yes to certain things, and I didn't know why am I saying yes to this. And then another, it felt like I wanted that, but then and then it didn't work. And then I noticed that another door, even bigger than the one before, just opened up, something even more beautiful and unexpected. So there's something about, yeah, intuition, that it is connected to our true nature. Is that something that you talk to the people that your clients, I have to say, the people that you interact with? Do you
Yeah.
speak of
For,
intuition as the voice of?
well, yes. And for instance, when I do what I was talking about before, I get them into a very quiet, inner silent, trance-like state, and have them ask themselves a question like, "What is this belief I'm holding on to
Yeah,
that's hurting my life?"
yeah,
I tell them before we start. Now,
yeah,
when I ask you that question, the answer is whatever instantly pops up in your mind.
yeah,
If I say, just a silly example, if the question is, "What's your favorite color?"
yeah.
And what happens is I say, "What's your favorite color?" And they sit there for a minute and they go,
Thinking.
"I guess blue."
Mm,
That's not your higher self talking. You
mm.
tried to figure out a better answer.
Yes.
Your ego
Right,
tried to figure out a
right.
better answer. You
Yes.
want to answer what immediately comes up. I'm going to get you into this state where you will be able to hear these things. Now, it might be words that seem to make sense. It might be an emotional sensation in your body. It might be a symbol that you see in your mind's eye. It
Right.
could be anything rational or absurd.
Right.
So if I say, "What's your favorite color?" It's blue. And it might be absurd. What might come up is, "What's your favorite color?" A tuna fish sandwich. Well, I don't know why I said that, but that's what came to me.
Right.
That's what you have to work with.
Right.
That's what your intuition is telling you. And
Right.
that's what's important. Your ego is always trying to find a better answer that will protect it.
Yes. Yes.
And if you're taking a lot of time thinking about it,
Yes.
it's your ego
Yeah.
taking you away from
Yes.
your intuition, from your
Yeah.
higher guide.
Yeah. Thank you. Because thank you for saying that. Because most people, it's almost like something wants to know, right? And that's how I know too. When an idea, vision comes, and then there's something in the mind, there's something that says, what about if it doesn't work? What about if it's
Yeah.
a good thing? Or all this questioning, to me, it's not intuition, because intuition
Hmm.
basically feels like it just says to you something, and that's like a gift, like grace, like you said earlier, is a gift, and then you take it or leave it. It's not. There's no arguments. You do whatever
Yeah.
you want with it, and then sometimes it sounds like irrational. Yeah, like in my case, just recently this vision came that I needed to make this, but without a story behind, just move to another place. I'm in Florida. So the other place that came to me was Hawaii. Then I'm like, oh my God, moving to Hawaii? And then the mind starts to question. I mean, I spent just so many days kind of the mind questioning that vision, that because I thought it was irrational. Hawaii, never been there. I heard, and then I started just talking to people and Googling, and then I heard it's super expensive and a lot of things. Like, how, in the practical sense, how could I ever do that? So, and then I'm moving to Hawaii next month. So
Good
anyway,
for
that
you.
is, yeah, so that is something, but I have been doing this my whole life. And it got myself in trouble in many ways, but
Hmm.
opened those, doors that I could never imagine. So I just go anyway. I just follow it. Like you said, I love the way you said that. I follow my heart. I love in the book, this really resonated with me. I had to have it here. You said, I consider myself a devotee only of life. And at this time in my life, I work on my own, in my own way, following my heart as best as I can, always hoping for some inner guidance and grace along the way. I mean, that just resonated with me deeply. So thank you. Yes. So going back to that intuition thing, the voice of the heart, or the true self, sometimes it's not really understood by the mind, and it's not understood by other people, other minds, conditioned minds in many ways. But it's the only way, to me, is the only path to take, and it has been my entire life, just kind of doing things that the voice told me to do it. I do it. And it has been fun, has been a lot of fun in a lot of beautiful ways, and has kind of got me here speaking to you in this very moment. So what else can I say? So thank you. Thank you, life. That's not out there, it's here. Thank you. So Andrew, I want to go back. We're almost at the end. I could talk to you forever. I want to bring your book, your beautiful cover, back, and ask you, talk to me about the visualizations and the suggested affirmations. They are just so beautiful, just reading them. I love the way you start them. Pretty much you start them in a similar way. I am God, I am all there is, my wonderful preferred life is unfolding now. Thank you for the miracle of life. I mean, I think this is one of them that I got, but you have so many of them that start like that. I am, or I am God. I am God. Is that I have a hard time kind of sticking to with visualizations or affirmations for some reason. I don't know, perhaps something just here. I love being spontaneous, and I'm very curious too about everything. So every time I kind of assign a script and I start reading it, it feels very mental to me. Like I'm going back to the mind and I'm trying to create a new story or a new belief system. So talk to me for a moment about that. What is the main goal, or the main, let's say, advantage and benefit of those two practices?
Well, just to put them in context, and this is why those first words appear a lot in the
Mhm.
different series of affirmations.
Yeah.
The first step is recognizing who and what you really are and standing in that place of creative power as divine and perfect and whole and blessed and godly.
Yeah.
Then to move on toward what you choose, the next step is to clear the debris of the
Mm.
negative thoughts and negative beliefs. And so I talk about that.
Yeah.
And then, and only then, in my opinion, that's when you start using tools and techniques to rewire your
Mm.
consciousness.
Right.
If you don't do that first, and you just start saying, I am wealthy, I am wealthy, I am
Mm.
wealthy, and you have a subconscious voice that's been telling you for the last 40 years, you're poverty stricken, you're poverty stricken, you're poverty. Well, that's going to win the argument
Right.
because that's
Right.
deeply ingrained and going on forever. And suddenly you're superficially saying, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy.
Mm.
So you really have to change your mindset and clear the energy and
Yeah.
then start rewiring your brain. And I start usually with reminding a few affirmations, reminding. So now one of the things I say um, in the affirmation sections, and there are several of them in the visualization sections, please do what works for you.
Mm.
If
Yeah.
this isn't working for you, you don't
Yes.
have to do this. This isn't a requirement. Some
Yes.
people, myself included, get a lot out of, I think of affirmations more as reminders. They
Yeah.
just keep
Mm.
reminding me of what I am and what I know and what I want and what I hope for and what's good in the world. And they remind me when I keep saying them over and over again. And when you say them over and over again for years, they
Yeah.
start rewiring your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Now, I say use these affirmations if they work for you, and at least change any of them that you
Mm.
want to make more personal for you. But
Yeah.
here are mine, you know, and you can start with these.
Yeah.
Visualization is the same idea. You experience something when you visualize, and
Yeah.
that teaches your inner being that it's real. And when it's real and you feel it and you experience, you start vibrating it and attracting it.
Mm.
And,
Yeah.
and I mentioned in the book, my dad was a salesman, and I remember him telling me years ago that he would stand outside of a client's door for a few minutes, visualizing a magnificent meeting and getting the sale, everything going well. And he would do that before he went in. So
Right.
he was in a state of expecting it to work and knowing this is good, and that made him much more successful. And
Right.
and now we know that your mind and your subconscious mind really don't know the difference between something you experience in this time space reality around you and
Yeah.
something you vividly imagine you're experiencing. You
Yes.
get the same chemistry. Your
Yes.
body cells and emotions change the same way. And
Mm.
they've tested this. People like Joe Dispenza who test everything.
Right.
You can test this, that you get the same chemical reactions and the same
Right.
brain waves. Your body doesn't know the difference. So experiencing it, making it real, you're vibrating that reality, and that attracts that reality. So that's why it's useful. But again, only if it's working for you.
Right.
And I also talk about taking some other steps. The big secret is that everything
Mm.
you want because you believe it'll make you happy.
Mm.
So everything you want is on a
Mm.
frequency of happiness.
Yeah.
So work on being happy, and you attract everything you want if you just do that. Just
Mm.
remember to
Mm.
experience yourself as happy, and whatever it
Mm.
takes to do that, you
Yeah.
vibrate the vibrations of everything you want to draw into your life.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I love that. I love that, Andrew. Thank you. Yeah, for clarifying. I mean, just explaining a little bit and being open to that too. So it's being reminded, right? I love that. So it's a
Mm,
remembrance again when and that happened
mm,
when I was reading your book, the affirmations. That's exactly what happened. Like I was being something in me was being reminded of that truth that's already within. Yes, quite powerful though, in the sense that I even wrote it down here, and I'll keep it in my room around me.
mm.
So thank you. And
Thank you.
Another thing you mentioned, oh, I wanted to mention something about, oh, yeah, everyone wants to be happy. That's an interesting thing because I guess it's connected anyway. But what I thought, what came to me when, that vision came about Hawaii, and then it was about almost like an alignment that came. It was not about happiness, but was about, oh, that will be a place that will be more in alignment with what you are representing here, that what you're symbolizing here, like your mind, your thoughts, your work, and your body, because nature and all that, and the spirituality there. So there's something that was really what touched me the most, because that alignment, I was really looking, seemed like something in me, the conditioned body mind was looking for that alignment. And then the place that I lived, that I am now, seems to be somehow disconnected with the inner reality. So it's almost trying to make the inner and outer reality one and the same. Is that the union again? Going back to bringing them. So
Well, I
I don't
think
know.
what you're
That's
saying is right. What I
yeah,
think what you're saying is right. I'm not sure they're different in
mm,
that
right.
if you
Yeah.
feel like you're not in alignment right now,
Yeah.
when you let yourself experience not
Mm,
being in alignment right now, I suspect
mm.
it doesn't make you happy. And
Ah,
if you experience being in alignment and everything being the way it should, how does that feel?
yeah,
I think you'll feel
yeah.
happy.
Yeah, that is true. So it goes back to happiness. You're right. Usually my platforms, they call fit for joy. There was another insight that came to me, that we already fit, complete, already ready to be joyful or to experience what joy is. So yeah, I usually use joy instead of happiness, but I think they're just
Hmm.
words, right? One and the same. Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Andrew. Oh my God, what an amazing
Thank you.
experience to have, yeah, to be in your presence and listening, being reminded of truth again with the capital T, I have to say. So I want to mention your website again. It's andrewcort.com. It will be everywhere where the episode is published. And your services, besides the book, you also offer sessions, healing sessions focused on eliminating pain and accelerating healing, and also clearing away unhealthy limiting beliefs. That basically what we've been talking the entire conversation. My Your
Hmm.
work is all about that. Is there anything that I missed, Andrew, about your services and offerings?
No, that's my service, and people can go to my website and find a little more detail about it. I do see
Yeah.
clients here in Woodstock, New York, where I live,
Mm,
but I
yeah.
also will see people on Zoom, and of course it's a little bit different. But one of the things I learned in writing this book I just wrote is that there's no such thing as space,
Mm,
so everything is right here, right now. So distance healing is just healing.
mm,
So I do see clients on Zoom.
yeah.
I would like people to come to my website to find out about my books and to find out about my practice, and also to perchance sign my subscribe to my email list. Uh, I'll be able to tell you about the online course I'm developing as soon as that's out, and perhaps some other things. I won't spam you, but I will, if you sign my email list, send you a copy of another little book I wrote a few years ago
Mm,
called "The Real Cause of Pain and Illness and What You Can Do About It."
right.
It's a short book. It's chock full of some meaningful things, and I
Mm.
think people will enjoy it and get a lot out of it, and it'll help change your mindset.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you so much again for your contribution to well-being. Thank you. And the website will be there, so andrewcourt.com, and they will go from there. Everything that Andrew mentioned will be on his website. So thank you so much again, and we'll talk soon. We'll be in touch again, Andrew. Bye for now, my dear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
very much.